Hi, this is Peter. In this video I will show you a very instructive chess game between Ian Maslov and Frederick Kotov. This game was played in Ulaanbaatar in 1844. In this game Ian Maslov had white pieces and he started with d4. Kotov played knight to f6 and after c4 we have Budapest gambit with e5. Now the main line of the Budapest gambit continues pawn takes pawn and then black plays knight to g4. But perhaps Maslov thought that Kotov was very well prepared against this and he played a surprising move, which is knight to c3. But the reason this move is not so good is pawn takes pawn and after queen takes knight to c6, stabbing the queen with tempo, and after queen to d1, bishop to c5, contesting very important diagonal, a7 to g1, and of course black is not better here, but usually white would have an advantage out of the opening because of this one extra tempo, and in this case he doesn't have this advantage anymore. So essentially we could say that black is equal. Black has equalized out of the opening. Okay, the game continued with e3, blunting the diagonal, so bishop is not as effective now, and Kotov castled kingside. Knight to f3, rook to e8, bishop to e2, standard moves now, but now black played somewhat surprising move knight to e5, but this is a very deep move. This is a start of a very deep plan, and unfortunately Maslov didn't realize what's going on. He played in this position castling kingside, which is better than knight takes on e5. But Kotov continued with a5, and when I analyzed this game I could see that Maslov was getting a bit confused with what Kotov is doing, because it seems that Kotov has no idea how to proceed in this position. And exactly as Kotov predicted, white crumbled under pressure with knight takes on e5. Perhaps the better move was b3 in this position, maybe queen c2 or bishop d2. But knight takes on e5 is not the best move because it only helps black to bring the rook in the game and to attack on the king side. Now Maslov played b3, and the idea is he wants to play bishop to b2, queen to d4, perhaps queen to c3 then. Queen and bishop are hitting the pawn on g7, and also queen would be eyeing the pawn on a5. So on paper this looks very good, but Kotov completely ignored white's plan and he played rook to a6, continuing his own, and after bishop to b2 he ignored the attack on the rook. This would be discovered attack here, and he played knight to e8. And perhaps now you can see what is going on. Two rooks are starting the attack on the king side. Rook a to g6, rook to g5, very strong pressure along the g file. Knight to a4. Maslov thought that he would play a good move here. This is very good combination, but unfortunately he doesn't realize that black doesn't even need the bishop on c5. This bishop is not important. White continued with queen to d4, attacking rook, and now perhaps b6 is possible, but this would destroy black's plan. Black played rook to g5, and now queen is feeling a bit exposed. c5 is coming from black, and actually the best move would be still f4 and then c5. White played queen to c3, so queen is a bit safer. It's also eyeing the pawn on a5 now. And black continued as planned with rook a to g6. Very strong pressure now. White continued with g3 and black played d6, simply bringing the bishop. He wants to play bishop to h3. Now Maslov played a very good move, which is bishop to f3, preparing bishop to g2. Black continues as planned with bishop to h3, attacking the rook. And now in this position it is actually best to play bishop to g2. Instead white played rook f to e1, not suspecting what is going on, but you can probably see what is going on. White is pushing, black is pushing white pieces away from the king. There is a battery here, but it's not accomplishing anything special. I mean, rooks are defending, so what's the point anyway? The idea is to get the rook away. That's why bishop to g2 was better move. And the plan becomes very clear after Kotov's next move, which is knight to f6, sacrificing the pawn. But of course he wants to sacrifice the pawn, because if bishop takes pawn, bishop takes on b7, that was what was played in the game. White is playing on the queen side. There's nothing going on here. White can gobble up some pawns, but the problem is that white king is not safe. This is not a problem. Pawns are less important than king. Kotov continued with h5 and Maslov played rook a d1. Queen to d4 is not better. We're gonna have a look at this in a minute. Kotov continued with h4, queen d4 now, and now before the final assault, knight to h5. Going for coordination is better, and this also was the idea. Knight to e8 to allow rook swing to the king side, then knight to f6, knight to h5, and so knight would pressurize g3 pawn. And now Maslov hoped for a miracle with f4. He hoped he would kick the rook back, but in this position Kotov played the move and Maslov resigned. So it is black to move and to play the winning move. And the move is simply h takes on g3, sacrificing the rook. F takes on g5, and now you can probably, this is the problem, black queen would love to join the attack, but there's no room for her, so white is actually helping black to bring the queen, and this is why this works. You could call this tactic replacement or simply bringing more pieces into the attack. So the possible continuation is bishop d5, g takes, double check, king f2, now bishop g4, very important, king is in the mating net. White can attempt bishop takes f7 check, but after king to f8, white of course cannot take the rook because queen to h4 would be winning, so the only move is queen takes on g4, but after the trade of pieces, white is lost in this position. So very nice attack from Kotov. Obviously, what Kotov was doing makes sense after 20 moves or something like this, but so let's go over the game again to show you. the plan. So knight to e5. Knight is clearing the path for the rook, which will be on a6, and also black wants this rook to join the attack, and this knight is not important. And also the third idea is that black wants to remove the defender. Knight is very important defender of the king side, because of course white is going to castle king side. a5, rook a6 is the idea, exactly as planned. And now there's no knight, and suddenly there are no defenders around the king. Rook a6, and now knight e8. The plan is to swing the rook to the king side. And now, as you can see, everything is normal, but suddenly there are completely no defenders around the king. There's only this bishop. Bishop is on f3. Bishop to g2. That's why bishop to g2 would be better move, because it would actually defend the king. But knight to f6 tempted white to capture the pawn, and white did. And white actually removed himself from defending the king, and now king is wide open, and well, black has a very simple attacking configuration here. Okay, so if white attempted queen to d4 in this position, not rook a to d1, then still we have h4, and now queen wants to come to a8 to force the queen trade, but the other idea behind the pawn push is that king can be played to h7. So even though white can attempt queen to a8, this trade wouldn't be forced. Black is not obliged to trade queens. He can play queen to e7, staying on the very important diagonal. And now bishop to c3, attacking pawn, knight to h5, continuing the plan, and say bishop to h1, and the possible continuation would be, and we can stop here. Black is also winning in this position. So what did we learn from this game? We learned that this is very important to confuse your opponent, but at the same time, side that tries to confuse the opponent must have a very clear plan of an attack. So a6, bringing the rook, rook a6, and knight e8, clearing the path for the rook. And that is all. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for the next ones. Thanks for watching. Bye.